Carpe diem, my name is Ultranatic, and here's another Toll Drama vlog going over Toll Drama Island 2024. In today's episode, breaking up is hard to do. A pretty straightforward title, but yeah, I know it's referencing, it's an old Neil Sedaka song. I've heard it, just not in a long time, so no commentary on that. But yeah, it's pretty fitting given that that it does succeed everything that happened in the last episode, because as many of y'all remember, we saw the fallout of Priya and Caleb after Z outed everything that had been going on that season between them. And yeah, this is all going to be what follows from that. I don't like the episode as much as that one, but I by no means hate it. It is just one of those ones where the one before was just so good in my opinion. This one probably has a few issues, and now you can see other people taking issue with it, but as far as me, I still like it quite a bit. So, but yeah, let's get to it so we can talk about what I like about it, what I like a little less about it, maybe, who knows, and just go from there. So, first off, I love how the actual recap for the episode, I don't even talk about these that much with these vlogs, actually mentions the name of the last episode in it. I just like that little detail. It's fun. And it opens with Priya sobbing in the confessional with Wayne, Raj, and Damien asking, like seeing how long she's been in there. Apparently about 20 minutes. I was expecting hours, but okay. And we get more poop humor from the hockey bros, which, again, the fact that they make that so casual is just something that kind of makes it land better. We see Damien commending Z for outing Caleb's lies before they got more out of hand, and he even says that he feels bad for eliminating him in the last episode. Then why'd you do it? Again, I like the idea of the drama, but just for the sake of the story, I think it makes a little more sense to have kept Z around, but whatevs, your choices. We see MK Yulia wanting to milk this emotional turmoil for all it's worth. Also, MK is like, oh, they're all, just grieving and, hugging Priya and trying to comfort her for this, but I didn't do anything when I was being mauled by a bear, which, on one hand, that's actually a pretty good point. But on the other hand, you do realize that was punishment for you cheating the competition, right? Okay, she wouldn't care. But for the sake of story context, I feel like Priya would be more sympathetic. Just saying. So Caleb, after having given Priya a 10-hour cooldown, is going to try talking things out with Priya in this episode. Throughout it, she's just not interested. Should I be frustrated? I'm weirdly not. Because for one, at least you understand why. It's not like she's just not even considering the idea of talking with him about it. It's just that she's so freaking mad about it that, do you think this would work out? I don't think it'd work out. So, I understand what happens. Now, there's other things that happen alongside it, but we'll get to those. The next challenge is given, and it's apparently to find the biggest item on the island, and they say, literally anything goes. Oh, you're going to regret those words, chef. And to bring it back to the starting point in apparently 12 minutes and some change. Okay, this is going to be like a nitpick kind of thing. I was kind of hoping that would mean literally 12 minutes from the time that announcement's made, because wouldn't that make sense for the challenge? It's a 22-minute episode. You'd have time for stuff like that. It's about 8 or 9 minutes. And I'm like, oh, I kind of would have liked it to be like a perfect time there, but that's not like a flaw. I just one of those things that would have been a really neat little detail. So that is what that is. Caleb again tries talking to Priya. She's not in the mood, and Caleb face plants into a tree that Priya completely saw coming. I mean, again, given the cataclysmic reveal of what happened in the last episode, I don't mind her wanting to see a little pain come towards Caleb. I don't even feel like it's funny in the same way, because I don't hate Caleb for what he did. He wasn't purposefully trying to crush her heart. It's just he inadvertently built her heart up so much without realizing how fragile it was and how effective his gameplay was. So I'm not going to fault him too much for something like that. We see MK Yulia try to offer an alliance with Caleb, to which he just says, no. I don't trust y'all. I've seen you on the last season. Y'all can't be trusted. Probably a good call. We see Raj try to carry a fridge back. We see Caleb find a canoe, which Julia immediately destroys through lumberjacking, which she actually calls back to in the 3rd episode about how she tried doing the same thing back then when she was in her cheating phase there. That does beg the question, Caleb, why don't you just bring that trunk back? Like, Julia hasn't claimed dibs on it. You can carry it. I don't see why you wouldn't do that. We see MK find Chef's car, and we see Damien find a sheep with a massive fleece of wool all over it. Caleb finds a picnic table, but he's immediately spooked into not taking that after he sees that MK got Chef's car. Wayne eventually, after a finite length of time, decides to bring the outhouse back to the starting point. Like, they literally, like, play, like, a fast-forwarding clip of him, like, contemplating in the outhouse about what to do with that. Like this. And like a cat, which I just think is funny. Just this pose. I don't know, I just found that funny. And then we see Caleb find Chris's yacht, and he's going to bring that back. But Priya finds a giant boulder, which is going to put into a catapult. Well, wait, the catapult's bigger. If this is about the biggest item, why don't you just bring the catapult back to the starting point? It has wheels. I think you could push it. But no, she does this because there's a point to it. Apparently, she's going to use that boulder to crush Caleb. Wow, that's... Actually, I'm not all that upset. That feels weird, right? Shouldn't I be upset? She's literally trying to kill... Okay, I don't know about kill... Because I'm gonna be honest, that casually counter or not, which if it had landed on him, ding my leg, but casually counter or not, we did see Priya get crushed by rocks in the last episode and she was fine. Caleb's bigger. I think at this point they kind of understand their own cartoon logic within the show. So she understands that this would maim him, not kill him. I'm not saying that's good either, but I don't know. When you think back to the Dave Sky debacle, it's not as bad as that. And at least Priya's been a consistent enough character to where this kind of makes sense. I mean, what happened the last season when she found out that Millie, who had been writing stuff in her journal about Priya and was not having the most genuine friendship until later on, how did you react to that? Same thing here. Weird thing is, it is kind of the same plot, except we switch from friendship with a girl to romance with a guy. But, yeah, at the very least, this doesn't feel like, you know, something that's a complete heel turn or anything for Priya. I at least get where she's coming from. And again, I've just seen more psychotic on this show. This at least feels in line with whatever's going on. But that all being said, she'd rather try and take out Caleb with this boulder than just try to win the challenge. Priorities, right? That's what I take more issue with. It's like, hello, like she seems like a more competition-oriented person. Even when she was fighting over Caleb, she wanted to win. She wasn't trying to screw him over to those wins, but she did want to win. At this point, that's gonna be what gets in your way? Come on, that's stupid. So, everyone gets their islands back to the starting point, but the true challenge has yet to come. I do like that. They are fooling people into thinking what the real challenge was, like Big Sleep-esque, if you will. And the big islands that they brought back to the beach, they have to break them down and put them through a little hole in the door without breaking the door to win the challenge. And the first person to do that wins immunity. Most of these contestants, while I didn't see this coming, are not perturbed by this little development, except for Damien, because it's a sheep. That's funny, because even you're like, oh, that's gonna be bad. Okay, it's not impossible to put that sheep in there if you contort it in the right way, but it would be kind of inhumane if you just killed him. So we see MK knows how to break down Chef's car because of an elective course she took in school. It was either theater or auto shop. I chose theater, but then they wanted me to talk about my feelings, so now I know a lot about cars. That works. You see, there's a lot of good stuff in the episode still. I like this quite a bit. We see Damien shaving the sheep and its wool and everything and putting that to the door. We see Julia chopping down her tree, and she does this by imagining all the times that baristas have wronged her. Not gonna lie, that scares me more than whatever Priya's doing to Caleb. Like, having your heart broken, that feels like something that makes sense. These are just bereaved. That's like straight Karen energy. Like, if you mixed a Karen in real life with Jack Torrance, would you feel safe with that? I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't. So, yeah. We see Raj try eating the food from the fridge to, put through the door rather than break down the fridge itself. It's stupid, but it's in character, kind of stupid. Even Chef and Chris are like, "What is he doing? It's stupid. That makes no sense whatsoever." But it is at least some character wit for him. It makes him sick, and it's gonna get him a challenge. Yada yada yada. We see Priya rant in the outhouse, and while she's doing that, we see Wayne trying to chop it down, but he then apologizes for it, which is just wholesomely funny. It breaks up the monotony of the scene. We see Priya hugging the boulder. That's peculiar, but we'll see where that goes. We see Wayne continue to try to break down the confessional, but every time it fails because apparently this thing is indestructible. I do love that we're seeing Wayne constantly failing challenges. Not necessarily through any fault of his own, but it's still funny just seeing that happen like time after time again. We see Caleb decide, oh wait, that was strength. My strength. So he's gonna literally like beat the yacht down with his muscles. Like this, and he does that with his shirt off, and that of course grabs Priya's attention. Yeah, that deal with it. And on one hand, I'm thinking, wait, so none of the nice, good stuff is never mind to you at all? Like you're not gonna appreciate that about him just because he had somewhat ulterior motives to wanting to bond with you? And then you realize, have you seen this dude? Like, have you seen him? Do you have eyes? I think Toph Bay Fawn would look at Caleb and be like, yep, I do him. But you can't see. That's the point. It's like, yeah, it is kind of funny. It turns out Priya was hugging the boulder to find its weak spot, which she does fine. And she breaks it down. But when she breaks it down, she happens to find a card picture of Caleb in it. Yeah, she's still got feelings for him. Which, to be fair, Caleb does too. So if one of them can put their differences aside, this could still work. If Priya takes a chill pill, with all due respect. And we see somehow Caleb's able to break down the outhouse with a bucket on his head. I'm just going to make this clear. He couldn't do it with 2 separate axes. He tried doing it with a freaking crane, like a wrecking ball on a crane. That didn't do it. In fact, that crushed him several times over. Again, lots of casualty counts. I love it. But a bucket on his head did the job. I don't get it, but it's funny. So, yeah, I don't have to get it all the way as long as I get some good, funny material out of it. Excuse me. We see after Damien is unable to slim the sheep down, that the sheep kicks Damien through the door instead, which takes him out of the competition. And then we get Wayne and Raj and MK who get eliminated from the competition because they can't do anything. Although MK has been, throughout the challenge, basically destroying Chef's car, which is making him so sad. That's funny. The challenge ends with Caleb winning immunity because he actually is able to break down that giant yacht. He just throws a bolt through the door last minute to try and get it through. And, yeah, he gets immunity, which he needed, 100%. Priya's still mad at him, of course. And his pecs and his abs, you're mad at that stuff, too? I'm sorry, I just find it funny. And then we get the post-mortem of that challenge, because you're like, well, if Caleb's not the target, then who goes home? Well, MK, Yulia, both kind of agree it's going to be one of them at some point. But Julia says, respect for each other, let's just let it play out how it plays out. Which MK pretends to be on board with, but she says, no, I don't trust her whatsoever. I'm going to make sure she goes home instead. So she begins telling lies to other people and trying to sabotage Julia's gameplay through those lies, including one funny lie where she tells Wayne that she heard that Julia's uncle was the president. He was going to cancel the hockey season, which of course he's like crying in anguish over. That's a funny lie, because if she's talking about the person who runs all of Canada, Canada does not have a president. It has a prime minister. That's just funny. Now, had she meant the president of the Canadian Hockey League or something, I think they have a president. I don't follow American sports, much less Canadian, respectfully. But if that's what she meant, then I could maybe understand him buying that. But all the same, Wayne's stupid, and has probably suffered brain damage from all the times he got hurt in this challenge. So it's a funny lie, and I don't blame him for falling for that. It does make sense. It's in character. So we get to the elimination ceremony, and MK goes home, which she's surprised by. She's like, man, I said a lot of really mean shit about you, Julia. I bet the stuff you said about me must have been even worse. To which Julia says, actually, I didn't say anything mean about you whatsoever. Then how'd you get her out? Oh, I just told everybody that we made a pact to not badmouth each other. This is what I like about Julia. That is freaking genius. You tricked MK into thinking that you were going to backstab her, when in actuality, you actually, for a very rare time, chose to play totally by the rules on this one. And you did that to make MK look worse. That is like a big brain move there. I just gotta give Julia a big round of applause for that one. Like, that's just awesome. So, that's what I love about this show. Like it's just, like, even this season, the strategy is just so much freaking smarter. Without being complicated. It's so simple, too. Like, Survivor. I love Survivor. It's still my favorite show. But most can't agree the strategy's just gotten so dang complicated because the show keeps throwing in twist after twist after twist that you don't need. Total drama still keeps the twist kind of simple. Like, one person's immune, and there's an idol out there somewhere. Okay, that's how Survivor has been for most of its time. Just keep it to that. You don't need the crazy freaking tribals. Just have the strategy play out naturally. Like this. This is more natural strategy with cartoon characters. Think about that. So, yeah, major respect for Julia for doing that move. MK goes home, but they showed they have mutual respect for each other, and the door is left very open as far as, are they actually a couple or not? Which is funny. I think even they understood, like, what the show was looking like as far as how MK and Julia saw each other. Like, do they like each other? Do they not? I don't know. Like, it's all open to interpretation. I ship them. But whatever. I don't run the show. I just watch it. I just review it. And in general, I did like this episode still quite a bit. Not as much as Holland and Ballin', but still quite a bit. Like, it had more issues when you, like, really dissect it a little bit, but nowhere close to one of my least favorites of the season. It's still a fun watch, and man, I am so sad that we're coming to a close with these vlogs because we don't yet have any word if this is going to continue with Total Drama, because they've been on such a roll. If they did continue with this direction as far as how these seasons go, oh man, we'd be in for like a new long-reign golden era for this franchise. So, yeah, it's gonna be sad coming to these next vlogs because we're getting so close to the end. But man, have I been having a ball with all this. So, yeah, that concludes this vlog. Thank y'all for watching again, and I can't wait to see y'all in the next one. Take care.